What are you gonna do with these old toys?
Venus coming.
We'll be fine, Jesse.
Oh, I hate all this uncertainty!
Buzz Lightyear, at your service.
Welcome to Sunny. What happened to you?
May I? Oh! This is the dinosaur toy dumpster.
So, who's ready for Captain Trouble?
Welcome to Z Cineplex, say your ultimate entertainment destination. Welcome to Z Cineplex, the home of entertainment, creativity, and cinematic excitement. Our channel is dedicated to bringing viewers a rich collection of engaging content that celebrates the world of movies, storytelling, and visual entertainment. Whether you're a passionate film enthusiast, someone who enjoys discovering new cinematic experiences, or simply looking for high-quality entertainment, Z Cineplex is designed to be your go-to destination. We strive to create content that is informative, enjoyable, and engaging for audiences of all ages, offering a unique blend of movie-related features, entertainment updates, insightful discussions, creative videos, and much more. Every upload is crafted with attention to quality, ensuring that our viewers receive an enjoyable experience that keeps them coming back for more. At Z Cineplex, we believe that cinema is more than just watching films. It's about experiencing emotions, exploring stories, appreciating creativity, and connecting with people who share the same passion for entertainment. Our mission is to build a vibrant community where movie lovers and entertainment enthusiasts can discover exciting content, share their opinions, and stay connected with the latest trends in the entertainment industry. We are committed to consistently improving our content, embracing new ideas, and delivering videos that entertain, inform, and inspire our growing audience. Whether you're here for movie highlights, entertainment discussions, reviews, cinematic moments, or fresh creative content, Z Cineplex promises an enjoyable journey filled with excitement, quality, and unforgettable entertainment. Join our community by subscribing, turning on notifications, and becoming part of the Z Cineplex family as we continue to explore the fascinating world of cinema and entertainment together. Thank you for your support, and welcome to Z Cineplex, wherever video brings entertainment to life. Toy Story 3 is a 2010 American animated comedy drama film produced by Pixar Animation Studios for Walt Disney Pictures, directed by Unkrich and written by Michael Arndt. The film serves as the third installment in Pixar's acclaimed Toy Story franchise and the sequel to Toy Story 2, 1999, featuring an ensemble voice cast that includes Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, Don Rickles, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberger, Estelle Harris, Ned Beatty, Michael Keaton, Jodi Benson, and John Morris. The film follows Andy Davis as he prepares to leave home for college. As Andy's childhood comes to an end, Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and the rest of the beloved toys are mistakenly donated to Sunnyside Daycare by Andy's mother. Initially believing the daycare to be a paradise for toys, they soon discover it is ruled by the manipulative teddy bear Lotso, forcing them to work together to escape while confronting difficult questions about loyalty, friendship, change, and the inevitability of growing up. At its emotional core, the film explores themes of love, loss, purpose, and the transition from childhood to adulthood. culminating in one of the most celebrated and heartfelt endings in modern animation. The road to the film's production was lengthy and complex. Following disagreements in 2004 between the Walt Disney Company's then CEO Michael Eisner and Pixar CEO Steve Jobs regarding distribution rights and future collaborations, Disney initially planned to produce Toy Story 3 independently through its newly established Circle 7 animation studio. Several story concepts were developed, and the project was targeted for a theatrical release in 2008. However, after Disney acquired Pixar in 2006 and Steve Jobs joined Disney's board of directors, the Circle 7 project was cancelled following the studio's closure. Pixar subsequently restarted development from scratch with an entirely new screenplay by Michael Arndt under the creative supervision of John Lasseter, Ed Catmull, and Lee Unkrich. Randy Newman returned to compose the film's musical score, blending memorable new themes with familiar musical motifs from the previous films. Produced on an estimated budget of approximately $200 million, Toy Story 3 became one of the most expensive animated films ever produced at the time. The film premiered at the Taormina Film Fest in Italy on June 12, 2010, before receiving a wide theatrical release in the United States on June 18, 2010. It was the first feature film to receive a theatrical release utilizing Dolby Surround 7.1 audio technology, further enhancing its immersive cinematic presentation. Upon release, Toy Story 3 received universal critical acclaim, with reviewers praising its emotionally resonant storytelling, mature screenplay, outstanding voice performances, sophisticated humor, breathtaking animation, memorable musical score, and its ability to satisfy both longtime fans and new audiences. The film was celebrated for successfully concluding the original trilogy while delivering an emotionally powerful narrative that appealed to viewers of all ages. Commercially, Toy Story 3 became one of Pixar's greatest successes. It grossed more than $1.067 billion worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film of 2010 and the fourth highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release. It also became the first animated film in history to surpass the $1 billion mark at the global box office, a milestone that further established Pixar's dominance in feature animation. The film remained the highest-grossing animated film worldwide until Disney's Frozen surpassed it in 2013, while it retained the title of Pixar's highest-grossing film until Incredibles 2 exceeded its earnings in 2018. Toy Story 3 also received widespread recognition throughout awards season. The National Board of Review, the American Film Institute, and Khair's Du Ciné Copyright Mus included it among the 10 best films of 2010. At the 83rd Academy Awards, the film earned 5 nominations, including Best Picture, becoming only the third animated feature ever nominated in the category after Beauty and the Beast and Up. It ultimately won the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for Randy Newman's We Belong Together. The film also received numerous honors from critics, organizations and industry groups worldwide, further cementing its reputation as one of the greatest animated films ever made. Today, Toy Story 3 is widely regarded as a landmark achievement in animation and cinematic storytelling, praised for its emotional depth, universal themes, technical innovation, and enduring cultural impact. Its legacy continued with the release of Toy Story 4 in 2019, followed by the franchise's ongoing expansion with subsequent installments. 17-year-old Andy Davis is preparing to leave home for college, marking the end of his childhood. Having long since outgrown his toys, he decides to take only Woody, his loyal cowboy doll, with him to college while placing Buzz Lightyear, Jessie, Bullseye, Rex, Ham, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, the 3 aliens, and the rest of the gang into a garbage bag for storage in the attic. Before Andy can move the bag upstairs, however, his mother mistakenly believes it contains trash and places it on the curb for garbage collection. The toys narrowly escape the garbage truck, but believing Andy intentionally threw them away, they feel heartbroken and abandoned. When Barbie joins a donation box destined for Sunnyside Daycare, the other toys decide to accompany her, convinced they will find a new purpose entertaining children there. Woody, the only toy who truly believes Andy never intended to discard them, desperately tries to persuade his friends to return home, but they refuse to listen, leaving him no choice but to set off on his own. Upon arriving at Sunnyside Daycare, the toys receive an enthusiastic welcome from the seemingly friendly residents, led by the charismatic strawberry-scented teddy bear Lotso Huggin' Bear, better known as Lotso, assisted by the enormous doll Big Baby and the fashion-conscious Ken, who immediately falls in love with Barbie. Lotso gives the newcomers a tour of the daycare, presenting it as a paradise where toys are played with endlessly and never abandoned. The toys are assigned to the Caterpillar Room, where they expect to spend their days with gentle children. Woody, however, remains unconvinced and chooses to leave Sunnyside in an attempt to return to Andy. Before he can make it home, he is discovered by a young girl named Bonnie Anderson, who takes him home and happily incorporates him into imaginative play sessions with her own collection of beloved toys. Meanwhile, the remaining toys quickly discover that Sunnyside's cheerful appearance hides a much darker reality. Instead of older children, they are subjected to the rough, chaotic play of toddlers who accidentally throw, chew, smash, and damage them. After enduring the exhausting experience, Buzz Lightyear respectfully asks Lotso if he and his friends can be transferred to the older children's room, where they would be treated more gently. Instead, Lotso has Buzz captured by his henchmen. It is soon revealed that Lotso secretly rules Sunnyside as a ruthless dictator, operating a strict hierarchy enforced through fear and surveillance. Every newly arrived toy is deliberately assigned to the destructive toddler room, regardless of whether they are suitable for it, ensuring that Lotso and his inner circle continue enjoying the safer older children's room. Believing Buzz to be exceptionally valuable, Lotso orders his memory reset to factory demo mode, causing Buzz to forget his friends and believe he is a newly activated Space Ranger assigned to serve Lotso's command. At the same time, Mrs. Potato Head, who accidentally left one of her detachable eyes behind in Andy's room, uses it to witness Andy desperately searching the house for his missing toys. Realizing Andy never intended to abandon them, the toys regret their mistake and decide to escape Sunnyside before they can act. However, Buzz, who now completely loyal to Lotso, captures his former friends and locks them in Sunnyside's prison under Lotso's orders. While staying at Bonnie's house, Woody befriends Chuckles the Clown, who reveals Lotso's tragic past. Chuckles explains that he, Lotso, and Big Baby once belonged to a little girl named Daisy, who loved them dearly. During a family road trip, the three toys were accidentally left behind at a roadside stop. Determined to reunite with Daisy, they made the long journey home on foot, only to discover that Daisy's parents had already replaced Lotso with an identical teddy bear. Devastated by what he believed was betrayal, Lotso became bitter and convinced himself that toys were ultimately disposable. When Big Baby continued believing Daisy still loved them, Lotso manipulated him into accepting the lie that she had willingly replaced all of them, while intimidating Chuckles into silence. Consumed by resentment, Lotso led his companions away and eventually seized control of Sunnyside Daycare, transforming it into an authoritarian society where every new toy suffered the same hopeless fate he believed all toys deserved. Determined to rescue his friends, Woody returns to Sunnyside and secretly reunites with the imprisoned toys. Together they devise an elaborate escape plan involving carefully coordinated distractions, secret passages, and teamwork. During the operation, Buzz is accidentally reset once again, but instead of returning to normal, he is switched into his Spanish language mode. The dramatically romantic and energetic Spanish Buzz immediately becomes infatuated with Jessie, serenading and dancing with her while continuing to assist the escape. The toys successfully break free from the daycare and make their way toward the dumpster outside. However, Lotso and his gang intercept them before they can escape completely. As a garbage truck approaches, Woody publicly exposes Lotso's lies about Daisy, revealing that she had never stopped loving Big Baby or Chuckles and that Lotso's bitterness had driven him to deceive everyone around him. Realizing the truth, Big Baby finally turns against Lotso and throws him into the dumpster. As the toys attempt to flee, Lotso grabs Woody, pulling him into the trash. Refusing to leave their friend behind, Buzz and the others jump into the dumpster to rescue Woody, but all of them are swept into the garbage truck together. During the chaotic ride, a discarded television crashes into Buzz, restoring his original memories and personality. The toys are transported to a municipal waste management facility, where they narrowly escape numerous deadly hazards, including powerful shredders and crushing machinery. Eventually, they find themselves trapped on a conveyor belt slowly carrying them toward a massive incinerator. Along the way, Woody and Buzz even rescue Lotso from being shredded, giving him another chance despite everything he has done. When Lotso reaches an emergency stop button that could save everyone, he coldly abandons the toys, choosing revenge over redemption. Accepting that they cannot escape, Woody, Buzz, Jessie, and their friends quietly join hands and face what appears to be their inevitable destruction together in one of the film's most emotional moments. Just before they reach the flames, the three aliens are operating a giant industrial claw magnet and successfully rescue the entire group from the incinerator, saving their lives at the last possible second. Later, Lotso is discovered by a garbage truck driver, who straps the teddy bear to the truck's front radiator grill as an unintended ornament, leaving him permanently exposed to the outside world. After escaping the landfill, the toys make their way back to Andy's house aboard another garbage truck driven by Sid Phillips, the former toy-tormenting neighbor from the first film, now grown up and working as a sanitation worker. Woody realizes that Andy deserves a proper farewell and secretly leaves a note directing him to donate the toys to Bonnie Anderson, whom Woody knows will truly cherish them. Believing the note was written by his mother, Andy visits Bonnie's house and carefully introduces each toy one by one, sharing their names, personalities, and favorite qualities. When he unexpectedly discovers Woody at the bottom of the donation box, Andy hesitates, unwilling to part with his oldest and most treasured toy. After Bonnie recognizes Woody and reaches for him, Andy ultimately chooses to let him go as well. Before leaving for college, Andy spends one final afternoon playing with all of his childhood toys alongside Bonnie, reliving the imagination and joy they had shared for so many years. As Andy drives away toward the next chapter of his life, Woody quietly bids his beloved owner a heartfelt farewell, while the toys begin a new life filled with love and adventure in Bonnie's care. In a postscript, life at Sunnyside Daycare has dramatically improved. With Lotso gone, Barbie, Ken, and Big Baby help transform the daycare into a fair and welcoming community where every toy is treated with kindness and respect, ensuring that newcomers are no longer subjected to the oppressive system that once ruled Sunnyside. Toy Story 3 features an acclaimed ensemble voice cast led by Tom Hanks as Woody, Andy's loyal pull-string cowboy doll whose unwavering devotion to his owner drives the story, and Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, the courageous Space Ranger action figure who serves as Woody's closest friend and trusted partner. During the film, Buzz is accidentally reset into his factory demo mode and later switched into a humorous Spanish-language mode, with Javier !! Des P +- A providing the Spanish voice performance credited as Spanish Buzz. Joan Cusack reprises her role as Jessie, the energetic and optimistic yodeling cowgirl, while Don Rickles returns as the sarcastic yet lovable Mr. Potato Head, alongside Estelle Harris as his equally outspoken wife, Mrs. Potato Head. Wallace Shawn voices the anxious but good-hearted plastic dinosaur Rex, and John Ratzenberger, the only actor to appear in every Pixar feature, once again portrays the wisecracking Piggy Bankham. The film introduces several memorable new characters, most notably Ned Beatty as Lotso Huggin' Bear, better known as Lotso, a strawberry-scented teddy bear whose warm and friendly exterior conceals his manipulative and authoritarian nature as the ruler of Sunnyside Daycare. Michael Keaton voices Ken, the flamboyant and fashion-obsessed Ken doll who initially allies himself with Lotso before ultimately helping Barbie and the other toys. Jodi Benson returns as Barbie, a compassionate, intelligent, an independent Barbie doll who originally belonged to Andy's younger sister Molly before being donated to Sunnyside, where she develops a romantic relationship with Ken while standing up against Lotso's oppressive regime. John Morris reprises his role as Andy Davis, now a 17-year-old preparing to leave for college and struggling to let go of the toys that defined his childhood. A younger version of Andy seen in flashbacks is voiced by Charlie Bright. Laurie Metcalf returns as Mrs. Davis, Andy's caring mother, while B. Miller voices Andy's younger sister Melly Davis. Emily Hann voices Bonnie Anderson, the imaginative little girl who eventually becomes the toy's new owner, and Laurie Allen portrays Bonnie's mother. Eric Van Detten reprises his role from the original Toy Story as Sid Phillips, Andy's former toy-tormenting neighbor, now an adult working as a garbage truck driver. The returning supporting toys include Jeff Pigeon as the three lovable aliens, whose devotion to the Claw ultimately helps save the toys from destruction. Blake Clark, who replaced the late Jim Varney following his death in 2000, returns as the loyal dachshund toy Slinky Dog, and Dar. Lee Ermey reprises his role as the disciplined Army Commander Sarge, marking his final appearance in the Toy Story franchise before his death in 2018. Bonnie's collection of toys is brought to life by an impressive supporting cast. Timothy Dalton voices the theatrical Shakespeare-loving hedgehog Mr. Pricklepants. Kristen Schaal portrays the enthusiastic Triceratops Trixie. Bonnie Hunt voices the nurturing ragdoll Dolly. Jeff Garlin appears as the cynical unicorn Buttercup. Charlie Bright, Amber Crona, and Brianna Maiwan provide the voices of the adorable peas in a pod, while veteran Pixar animator Bud Luckey voices Chuckles the Clown, whose tragic backstory reveals the origins of Lotso's bitterness and the history behind Sunnyside Daycare. The residents of Sunnyside Daycare are voiced by another talented ensemble. Director Lee Unkrich provides the voice of the cheerful Jack in the Box. Teddy Newton voices the talkative chatter telephone. Woody Smith portrays the towering infant doll Big Baby. Whoopi Goldberg voices the flexible octopus Stretch. John Saigon appears as the insect-like toy Witch. Jack Angel voices the hulking rock monster Chunk. Jen Rapson portrays the sparking robot Spark, and Richard Kind voices Bookworm, the bespectacled library toy responsible for maintaining Sunnyside's instruction manuals. Together, the returning cast and newly introduced performers create one of Pixar's largest and most celebrated ensemble voice casts, contributing significantly to the film's emotional depth, humor, and enduring popularity. The development of Toy Story 3 was one of the most complex and significant production journeys in Pixar's history, spanning several years and reflecting major changes within the animation industry. Under the terms of Pixar Animation Studios' original 7-film distribution agreement with the Walt Disney Company, Disney retained ownership of all characters created for Pixar's films as well as the rights to produce sequels to those films, while Pixar held the right of first refusal to develop them. By 2004, negotiations between Disney and Pixar had deteriorated over disagreements involving distribution, sequel rights, and financial arrangements between Disney CEO Michael Eisner and Pixar CEO Steve Jobs. Anticipating the end of the partnership, Disney began developing sequels independently through a newly established division known as Circle 7 Animation. Among the projects placed into active development was Toy Story 3, which was initially targeted for a theatrical release in the spring of 2008. Although Pixar was not involved with the production, Tim Allen expressed his willingness to reprise his role as Buzz Lightyear if the project moved forward. Disney appointed Bradley Raymond, director of several successful direct-to-video Disney sequels including The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 and The Lion King 1/2, to helm the Circle 7 version of the film. During development, several story concepts were commissioned. One screenplay by Teacher's Pet writers Bill and Sherry Steinklner envisioned Andy's toys accompanying him to his grandmother's house while his bedroom was being remodeled. When toys begin mysteriously disappearing one by one, Woody, Buzz, Jessie, Ham, Rex, Slinky Dog, Mr. Potato Head, Bullseye, and two newly created characters named Hee Hee and Lady Ola investigate the mystery in a family-friendly whodunit adventure. Although Disney ultimately rejected this concept, executives were reportedly impressed enough with the screenplay that it was briefly considered as the foundation for a possible fourth Toy Story film. The final Circle 7 screenplay was written by Meet the Parents screenwriter Jim Hersfeld and featured an entirely different storyline from the finished Pixar film. In this version, Buzz Lightyear begins malfunctioning and is shipped to the Waka Waka factory in Taiwan, where all Buzz Lightyear toys were originally manufactured. Woody, Jessie, Rex, Ham, Slinky Dog, Mr. Potato Head, and Bullseye discover online that Buzz Lightyear figures around the world have been recalled because of a manufacturing defect, prompting them to secretly ship themselves overseas to rescue their friend before he is destroyed. During his journey, Buzz encounters numerous recalled toys from different countries, including Rosie, a comforting plush toy, Jade, an elegant fashion doll, and Dax's Blaster, a new Star Command action figure intended to replace Buzz, accompanied by his robotic cat companion Comet. While the script progressed into advanced development, it was never produced following major corporate changes at Disney. A turning point occurred in January 2006 when Disney acquired Pixar Animation Studios in a landmark merger valued as approximately $7.4 billion. The acquisition placed Pixar's creative leaders, Ed Catmull and John Lasseter, in charge of both Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios. One of their first decisions was to shut down Circle 7 Animation and cancel all of its sequel projects, including the independently developed version of Toy Story 3. Shortly afterward, Disney CEO Robert Iger officially confirmed that production of the film had been transferred to Pixar. Rather than reviewing or borrowing ideas from Circle 7's screenplay, Pixar deliberately chose to begin with an entirely clean slate. Director Unkrich later explained that the filmmakers intentionally avoided reading the cancelled script because they wanted their creative process to remain uninfluenced and develop an original story from the ground up. Pixar's renowned brain trust, consisting of John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, and Unkrich, had privately discussed the possibility of a third Toy Story film for several years. To begin developing the sequel, the group returned to the same cabin where they had originally conceived the first Toy Story during the early 1990s. Their initial ideas failed to satisfy them, and after an entire day of brainstorming they discarded every concept. Seeking inspiration, they rewatched the first two Toy Story films together. The emotional progression of Andy's relationship with his toys ultimately led them to ask what would happen when Andy inevitably grew up and left home. This simple but powerful question became the emotional foundation of the new film. Andrew Stanton subsequently wrote the initial story treatment, which evolved into a screenplay by Academy Award-winning writer Michael Arndt. In February 2007, John Lasseter announced that Unkrich, who had previously co-directed Toy Story 2, would direct the film on his own, while Lasseter remained closely involved as executive producer because he was simultaneously directing Cars 2. Disney also confirmed a 2010 theatrical release. Development officially began in mid-2006, with Unkrich working closely alongside Michael Arndt and Pixar's story artists to shape what would become one of the studio's most emotionally ambitious productions. Unkrich later admitted feeling considerable pressure, noting that every previous Pixar feature had been both a critical and commercial success, making him determined to avoid creating what he called the first dud in the studio's history. By early 2008, the basic premise had become public knowledge. Andy, now preparing to leave for college, accidentally sends his toys to Sunnyside Daycare, forcing them to confront abandonment, loyalty, and the uncertainty of their future. The production also required significant technological innovation. During early development, Pixar attempted to reopen the original digital assets created for the 1995 Toy Story. Although the files remained archived, advances in computer hardware and software over more than a decade meant the models could no longer be properly edited. As a result, virtually every character had to be rebuilt from scratch using modern animation tools while carefully preserving the familiar appearance audiences recognized. These newly reconstructed models allowed animators to achieve far greater levels of detail, realism, and expressive performance than had been possible in the earlier films. One of the film's most technically demanding achievements was the elaborate landfill and waste management sequence that forms the story's climax. Pixar devoted well over 18 months to research and development in order to create sophisticated simulation systems capable of handling the enormous quantities of moving trash, conveyor belts, smoke, fire, ash, and mechanical equipment featured throughout the sequence. In 2007, Members of the production team conducted multiple research trips to real waste disposal facilities, including the Altamont landfill and several other landfills and incinerators in Northern California. Although Pixar artists had previously visited similar locations while researching Wall-E Middle.E, this project required a dramatically different visual approach. Rather than simply recreating a realistic waste management facility, the filmmakers sought to transform it into what Unkrich described as the toy equivalent of Dante's Inferno, a terrifying industrial landscape filled with danger, destruction, and overwhelming emotional tension. The goal was to capture authentic visual details while heightening them into a cinematic environment that would feel believable yet dramatically intensified. Pixar also adopted an unconventional approach when securing the return of its principal cast members. Instead of sending scripts to Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, and John Ratzenberger, the studio invited them to a private screening of an almost complete story reel composed of animated storyboards, temporary voice recordings, music, and sound effects. The emotional presentation convinced all three actors to immediately return for the sequel. Tom Hanks reportedly received a salary of approximately $15 million for reprising the role of Woody, making it one of the highest payments ever awarded to a voice actor at the time. The film also contained several affectionate tributes and technical milestones. Art director Daisuke Tsutsumi, whose wife is Hayao Miyazaki's niece and the inspiration for in Studio Ghibli's My Neighbor Totoro, 1988, included a cameo appearance by Totoro among Bonnie's toys as a tribute to Miyazaki's influence on animation. In addition, Dolby Laboratories selected Toy Story 3 as the first theatrical feature to premiere with Dolby Surround 7.1 audio technology, significantly enhancing the film's immersive sound design. The original 7.1 soundtrack was also preserved for the Blu-ray release, making it one of the earliest home video releases to feature native theatrical 7.1 surround sound. Through its combination of emotional storytelling, groundbreaking animation technology, extensive research, and innovative production methods, Toy Story 3 became one of Pixar's most ambitious and celebrated filmmaking achievements. Disney and Pixar launched an extensive global marketing campaign for Toy Story 3, combining theatrical promotions, home media releases, merchandise partnerships, television specials, interactive advertising, and video games to celebrate the return of one of animation's most beloved franchises after an 11-year gap since Toy Story 2. The campaign was designed to appeal to both longtime fans who had grown up with the original films and a new generation of younger audiences discovering the characters for the first time. Marketing efforts emphasized the emotional reunion with Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and the rest of Andy's toys while highlighting the film's blend of humor, adventure, and heartfelt storytelling. The film's first teaser trailer debuted on May 29, 2009, attached to Pixar's Up and Disney Digital 3D theaters. The teaser offered audiences their first glimpse of the returning characters and officially announced the arrival of the long-awaited third installment. To further build anticipation, Disney re-released Toy Story and Toy Story 2 as a special double feature in Disney Digital 3D beginning on October 2, 2009. The limited theatrical engagement introduced the classic films to a new audience while allowing longtime fans to revisit the original adventures on the big screen. During the double feature event, audiences were treated to an exclusive first-look preview on the film's first full-length theatrical trailer, which premiered on October 12, 2009, offering the earliest substantial footage from the sequel and introducing the Sunnyside daycare setting. The promotional campaign continued with the home entertainment release of the first two films on March 23, 2010, when Toy Story and Toy Story 2 were issued individually in Blu-ray/DVD combo pack editions. Both releases featured newly produced bonus material designed to promote the upcoming sequel. The Toy Story Blu-ray included the featurette The Story of Toy Story 3, which explored the development and creative direction of the new film, while Toy Story 2 featured characters of Toy Story 3, introducing audiences to several of the sequel's new characters, including Lotso Huggin' Bear, Ken, Big Baby, and the toys of Sunnyside Daycare. A major component of the marketing campaign centered on an extensive line of licensed merchandise. Toy manufacturers including Mattel, Thinkway Toys, and LEGO produced a wide range of action figures, playsets, collectible toys, plush characters, vehicles, construction sets, and role-playing products inspired by the film. Thinkway Toys expanded its popular line of highly detailed electronic Woody and Buzz Lightyear figures, while LEGO released multiple building sets recreating memorable locations and scenes from the movie. Fisher-Price, a subsidiary of Mattel, also partnered with Disney and Pixar to produce a special Toy Story 3 edition of the classic Viewmaster, featuring 21 stereoscopic 3D image reels that allowed children to explore scenes and characters from the film through the iconic viewer. Disney Interactive Studios further expanded the franchise with Toy Story 3, the video game, which launched on June 15, 2010, just days before the film's theatrical release. Developed for Microsoft Windows, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation Portable, PSP, the game adapted key events from the film while introducing the highly praised Toy Box mode, an open-world sandbox experience that allowed players to create customized adventures, complete missions, and build their own toy-themed town. A PlayStation 2 version was later released on October 30, 2010. As part of a hardware bundle before receiving a standalone retail release on November 2, 2010, coinciding with the film's DVD and Blu-ray debut. The title also marked the final Disney Pixar video game released for the PlayStation 2 platform. Disney and Pixar also embraced emerging digital advertising technologies as part of the promotional campaign. During Apple's iPhone OS 4 event on April 8, 2010, Apple co-founder Steve Jobs demonstrated the capabilities of the new HTML5-based ad advertising platform using a specially designed interactive Toy Story 3 advertisement. The demonstration highlighted Pixar's close relationship with Apple and showcased how animated advertising could become more immersive and interactive on mobile devices. One of the campaign's most memorable promotional pieces was Pixar's retro-style commercial for Lotso Hug and Bear. Lotso. The advertisement was intentionally designed to resemble an authentic early 1980s toy commercial recorded on VHS, complete with distorted audio, analog tracking errors, static interference, flickering video, washed-out colors, and worn tape effects. The nostalgic presentation convinced many viewers that the commercial was a genuine vintage advertisement for a forgotten toy. Pixar later released a Japanese-language version online in which the character's name was localized as Little Hug Hug Bear, further extending the campaign internationally. Television promotion also played a major role in building excitement before the film's release. On the May 11, 2010, episode of Dancing with the Stars, the Gypsy Kings performed a lively Spanish-language rendition of Randy Newman's classic song You've Got a Friend in Me, accompanying a paso double routine choreographed by Cheryl Burke and Tony Dolavany. Both the musical arrangement and dance style later appeared in the film during Buzz Lightyear's comedic Spanish Buzz sequence. In the weeks leading up to the theatrical premiere, Disney promoted the sequel by broadcasting Toy Story and Toy Story 2 across several of its television networks, including Disney Channel, Disney XD, and ABC Family, introducing younger viewers to the franchise while reminding longtime fans of its enduring appeal. The broadcasts were accompanied by exclusive behind-the-scenes featurettes, cast interviews, television spots, and sneak peeks showcasing new footage from Toy Story 3, with Disney Channel serving as one of the campaign's primary promotional platforms. The marketing campaign proved highly successful, generating enormous anticipation worldwide through its combination of nostalgic callbacks, innovative digital advertising, cross-promotional partnerships, extensive merchandising, and multimedia publicity. By the time Toy Story 3 arrived in theaters in June 2010, it had become one of Disney and Pixar's most heavily promoted animated releases, contributing significantly to its record-breaking box office performance and reinforcing the franchise's status as one of the studio's most valuable and recognizable brands. As awards season approached, Walt Disney Studios launched an ambitious and highly visible Academy Awards campaign for Toy Story 3, positioning the film as a serious contender not only for Best Animated Feature but also for the prestigious Best Picture award. Central to the campaign was the memorable Not Since advertising series, which highlighted the film's extraordinary critical acclaim and cultural significance by comparing its achievements to those of previous Academy Award-winning Best Picture nominees and winners. The campaign featured a collection of striking posters incorporating characters from Toy Story 3 alongside references to celebrated films such as The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, Titanic, Shakespeare in Love, The Silence of the Lambs, American Beauty, Gladiator, No Country for Old Men, and several other acclaimed Best Picture winners. Each advertisement used the phrase "not since" to emphasize that Toy Story 3 had accomplished something rarely achieved by a film in its category, drawing attention to its exceptional reviews, emotional storytelling, widespread audience appeal, and status as one of the year's most acclaimed releases. The campaign reflected Disney's determination to have Toy Story 3 recognized as one of the year's finest films regardless of genre or medium, rather than limiting its awards aspirations solely to animation. Walt Disney Studios chairman Rich Ross publicly stated that the studio's primary objective was to secure a Best Picture nomination, arguing that the film deserved recognition alongside the year's best live-action productions because of its artistic achievement, emotional depth, and universal storytelling. The strategy proved successful when Toy Story 3 received a nomination for Best Picture at the 83rd Academy Awards, becoming only the third animated feature in Academy history to earn the honor, following Beauty and the Beast, 1991, and Pixar's Own Up, 2009. In addition to its Best Picture nomination, the film earned nominations for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Song, Best Sound Editing, and Best Animated Feature, ultimately winning the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for Randy Newman's We Belong Together. The campaign itself was also widely praised within the entertainment marketing industry for its creativity and effectiveness, receiving the Bronze Award in the 2011 Key Art Awards, presented by The Hollywood Reporter, in recognition of its outstanding theatrical advertising and promotional design. Toy Story 3 had its worldwide premiere on June 12, 2010, as the opening film of the Taormina Film Fest in Taormina, Sicily, Italy, where it received an enthusiastic reception from audiences and critics attending the international festival. The premiere marked the official global debut of Pixar's long-awaited third installment in the Toy Story franchise, arriving more than a decade after the release of Toy Story 2, 1999. The following day, on June 13, 2010, the film held its North American premiere at the historic El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Hosted by Walt Disney Pictures, the event featured a star-studded red carpet attended by members of the voice cast, filmmakers, and numerous celebrities, celebrating the return of one of Pixar's most beloved franchises. To commemorate the release, the El Capitan Theater also hosted a special Toy Story marathon on June 17, 2010. Giving audiences the opportunity to experience all three films in the trilogy consecutively on the big screen for the first time. The marathon served as a celebration of the franchise's 15-year legacy, allowing longtime fans to revisit Toy Story, 1995, and Toy Story 2, 1999. Before the debut of the concluding chapter. The event further reinforced the emotional continuity of the series by showcasing Andy's journey from childhood to adulthood across the three films. Toy Story 3 was released theatrically across the United States and Canada on June 18, 2010, receiving one of Disney and Pixar's widest releases to date. The film was simultaneously presented in traditional 2D, Disney Digital 3D, RAL 3D, and IMAX 3D formats, allowing audiences to experience Pixar's advanced computer animation and immersive visual presentation on premium large-format screens. It also became the first feature film released theatrically with Dolby Surround 7.1 audio, introducing moviegoers to a new generation of immersive cinematic sound technology that enhanced the film's dynamic action sequences, musical score, and richly detailed sound design. Accompanying the feature presentation was Pixar Animation Studios' original animated short film Day Night, written and directed by Teddy Newton. The Academy Award-nominated short tells the imaginative story of two anthropomorphic characters who literally embody day and night, each containing miniature worlds within their bodies. Initially suspicious and competitive toward one another because of their differences, the two gradually learn to appreciate each other's unique beauty and perspectives, ultimately discovering that their contrasting qualities complement one another. The short was widely praised for its innovative blend of traditional hand-drawn animation and computer-generated imagery, as well as its heartfelt message about embracing diversity and change. Together, Day Night and Toy Story 3 continued Pixar's long-standing tradition of pairing its feature films with acclaimed original animated shorts, providing audiences with a memorable theatrical experience before the main feature began. Toy Story 3 was released for home entertainment by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment in North America on November 2, 2010. Following its highly successful theatrical run, the film was made available in several formats to appeal to a wide range of consumers, including a single-disc DVD, a 2-disc Blu-ray edition, and a 4-disc Blu-ray/DVD/digital copy combo pack. The home media editions featured an extensive collection of bonus content, including behind-the-scenes documentaries, filmmaker commentaries, deleted and alternate scenes, featurettes exploring the film's production and animation, and a special sneak peek at Pixar's then-upcoming feature Cars 2, 2011. On the same day, Disney also released the 10-disc Toy Story Trilogy Blu-ray box set, bringing together Toy Story, 1995, Toy Story 2, 1999, and Toy Story 3 along with an extensive selection of supplemental features, making it the definitive collection for fans of the franchise. To coincide with the growing popularity of home 3D entertainment systems, a dedicated Blu-ray 3D edition of Toy Story 3 was released in North America on November 1, 2011, allowing viewers to experience the film's stereoscopic presentation outside of theaters. The film proved to be an extraordinary commercial success on home media. During its first week of release, covering the period from November 2 to November 7, 2010, Toy Story 3 sold approximately 3.86 million units, generating more than $73 million in consumer sales revenue and debuting at number 1 on the weekly home video sales charts. The exceptional opening immediately made it the best-selling animated home video release of 2010 in terms of units sold, surpassing DreamWorks Animation's How to Train Your Dragon. By July 18, 2012, the film had sold more than 10.9 million DVD and Blu-ray units in the United States alone, generating nearly $186 million in sales revenue. It also finished as the best-selling DVD of 2010 by units sold, although it ranked second in overall DVD revenue behind James Cameron's Avatar, which commanded a higher average selling price. The Blu-ray edition was similarly successful, selling approximately 4 million Blu-ray copies during 2010 and becoming the fourth best-selling Blu-ray title of the year, further demonstrating the growing popularity of high-definition home entertainment. The release was praised for its exceptional audio-visual presentation, with critics highlighting its reference-quality high-definition transfer, vibrant color reproduction, detailed animation, and immersive lossless surround sound, making it a showcase title for Blu-ray technology. Internationally, Toy Story 3 achieved equally impressive results. In the United Kingdom, the film set a new record for the highest first-day sales revenue ever recorded for an animated feature on both DVD and Blu-ray. Its digital release also proved highly successful, becoming the most downloaded Disney film on iTunes on its first day of availability, reflecting the increasing consumer shift toward digital movie purchases. As part of Disney's continued effort to preserve and upgrade its Pixar library for newer home entertainment formats, Toy Story 3 received a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release on June 4, 2019. The remastered edition featured native 4K Ultra high-definition presentation with high dynamic range (HDR) support, delivering enhanced image clarity, improved color depth, greater contrast, and more lifelike visual detail than previous releases. It also included immersive high-definition audio and many of the supplemental features from earlier editions, providing fans with the most technically advanced home viewing experience of the film. The continued reissuing of Toy Story 3 across successive generations of home media has reinforced its enduring popularity and its status as one of Pixar's most commercially successful and widely collected animated films. Toy Story 3 was a phenomenal commercial success and became one of the most profitable animated films ever released. Produced on an estimated budget of $200 million, the film grossed $415.0 million in the United States and Canada and $652.0 million in international markets, for a worldwide total of $1.067 billion during its original theatrical run. At the time of its release, it became the highest-grossing animated film in history, surpassing Pixar's own Finding Nemo, 2003, a record it held until Disney's Frozen overtook it in 2014. It also finished as the highest-grossing film of 2010 worldwide, outperforming major blockbusters released that year. During its opening weekend, Toy Story 3 earned approximately $145.3 million worldwide, or $153.7 million including weekday preview screenings, making it one of the largest global opening weekends ever recorded for an animated feature at the time. On August 27, 2010, after just 71 days in release, the film surpassed the $1 billion milestone at the global box office, becoming the first animated film in cinematic history to achieve the feat. It also became only the seventh film ever to cross the billion-dollar mark worldwide, the third Disney-produced film, and the second Disney-distributed release of 2010 to accomplish the milestone following Alice in Wonderland. The achievement represented a historic moment for both Pixar Animation Studios and the animation industry, demonstrating that an animated feature could achieve the same level of worldwide commercial success as the biggest live-action blockbusters. In the United States and Canada, Toy Story 3 enjoyed an exceptionally strong theatrical run. According to industry estimates, the film sold more than 52 million tickets during its domestic release. It opened on June 18, 2010, in 4,028 theaters, earning $41.1 million on its first day alone, including approximately $4 million from midnight preview screenings held in around 1,500 locations. The opening day total established a new record for an animated feature at the time, reflecting the enormous anticipation that had built during the 11 years since Toy Story 2. During its opening weekend, the film debuted at number 1 with $110.3 million, setting a new opening weekend record for a Pixar release. It also established the biggest opening weekend ever for a film released in June and the largest opening for a G-rated motion picture at the time, while becoming the second biggest animated opening weekend in North American history, averaging approximately $27,385 per theater. The film achieved one of the highest per theater averages ever recorded for both the G-rated and animated feature. Over its first 7 days, it generated approximately $167.6 million, ranking among the largest first-week totals ever achieved by an animated film and one of the strongest opening weeks of 2010. The film remained at the top of the domestic box office for 2 consecutive weekends, demonstrating impressive audience demand and exceptionally strong word of mouth. Internationally, Toy Story 3 achieved equally remarkable success, becoming one of Pixar's strongest overseas performers. The film topped the international box office during 3 separate weekends, including its first, second, and sixth weekends of release, as it gradually expanded into additional territories around the world. Its largest international market was Japan, where the film earned approximately $126.7 million, making it one of Pixar's most successful releases in the country and, at the time, the second highest-grossing American animated film ever released in the Japanese market. The United Kingdom, Ireland, and Malta collectively generated approximately $116.6 million, making the region one of the film's strongest European markets, while Mexico contributed approximately $59.4 million, establishing itself as one of Pixar's most successful territories in Latin America. Other major international markets included Australia, where the film grossed approximately $32.8 million, and Brazil, where it earned roughly $23.6 million. The film also broke numerous opening weekend records across the globe. It established new opening records for animated features in countries including Mexico, China, Spain, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, Hong Kong, and the United Kingdom, highlighting the worldwide popularity of the franchise and the broad international appeal of Pixar's storytelling. Strong critical reception, positive audience word of mouth, repeat viewings, and the film's emotional conclusion to the original trilogy contributed to its exceptional staying power in theaters, allowing it to maintain impressive box office performance well beyond its opening weeks. The extraordinary financial success of Toy Story 3 further solidified Pixar Animation Studios as one of the industry's most reliable producers of blockbuster films and demonstrated the immense global popularity of the Toy Story franchise by becoming the first animated feature to surpass $1 billion in worldwide ticket sales. The film established a new commercial benchmark for animated cinema and reinforced the growing international demand for family-oriented animated features. Its record-breaking theatrical performance remains one of the defining achievements in Pixar's history and played a significant role in expanding the commercial expectations for animated films in the modern blockbuster era. Toy Story 3 received overwhelming critical acclaim upon its release in 2010 and has since been widely regarded as one of the greatest animated films ever made. Critics praised its emotionally powerful storytelling, mature themes, witty screenplay, outstanding voice performances, stunning animation, and Randy Newman's memorable musical score, while many considered it a rare sequel that not only matched but, in some respects, surpassed its acclaimed predecessors. The film was especially celebrated for successfully concluding the original Toy Story trilogy with an ending that resonated deeply with audiences of all ages, balancing humor, adventure, suspense, and heartfelt emotion. Over the years, its reputation has remained exceptionally strong, and it continues to be recognized as one of Pixar Animation Studios' finest achievements. On the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, Toy Story 3 holds an approval rating of 98% based on 312 critical reviews, with an average rating of 9.1. The website's critical consensus states, deftly blending comedy, adventure, and honest emotion, Toy Story 3 is a rare second sequel that really works. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score to reviews from mainstream critics, the film received an outstanding 92 out of 100 based on 39 reviews, indicating universal acclaim. Audience reception was equally enthusiastic, with moviegoers surveyed by CinemaScore awarding the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale, matching the original Toy Story while falling only slightly below the A+ earned by Toy Story 2. Many of the world's leading film critics hail Toy Story 3 as one of the year's finest cinematic achievements. A.O. Scott of the New York Times described the film as far more than a children's adventure, calling the trilogy a long, melancholy meditation on loss, impermanence and that noble, stubborn, foolish thing called love, while praising its emotional sophistication and universal appeal. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly awarded the film an A grade, writing that he was astonished by how profoundly the animated comedy affected him emotionally. In a follow-up column, Gleiberman famously acknowledged that he and many other adult viewers were moved to tears by the film's unforgettable conclusion, highlighting the remarkable emotional impact the story had on audiences. Michael Reed-Chayton of The Hollywood Reporter praised the film as an engaging and emotionally satisfying return for Woody, Buzz, and their companions, while Richard Corliss of Time enthusiastically declared it an instant classic. Several other prominent critics also offered glowing reviews. Mark Kermode of the BBC hailed both Toy Story 3 and the franchise as a whole, describing the Toy Story series as the best movie trilogy of all time. Writing for USA Today, Claudia Poog awarded the film a perfect 4-star rating and declared it the finest installment in the trilogy, praising its humor, emotional depth, excitement, intelligence, and craftsmanship. Roger Moore of the Orlando Sentinel gave the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, describing it as a dazzling, suspenseful, and deeply sentimental finale that brought Pixar's landmark franchise to a moving conclusion. Although slightly more reserved, Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune still awarded the film 3 out of 4 stars, complimenting its technical excellence, confident storytelling, and polished execution while comparing it with Pixar's previous masterpieces such as Ratatouille, Wall-E, and Up. Throughout 2010, Toy Story 3 consistently appeared near the top of critics' annual best film lists, reflecting its widespread acclaim across the film industry. Time magazine named it the best film of 2010, recognizing it not only as the year's finest animated feature but as the best film released in any genre. The following year, Time further honored the film by ranking it number 11 on its list of the 25 all-time best animated films. Among review aggregators, Rotten Tomatoes ranked Toy Story 3 as the best reviewed film of 2010, while Metacritic placed it second, behind David Fincher's The Social Network. The film's extraordinary critical consensus was nearly unanimous, with one of the very few negative reviews coming from critic Armand White, whose dissenting opinion attracted widespread discussion because it prevented the film from maintaining a perfect approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The film's reputation has continued to grow in the years following its release. Influential French film magazine Cahiers du Cinéma de Copyright ranked Toy Story 3 fourth among its top 10 films of 2010. An uncommon honor for a mainstream American animated feature. In 2018, writers for IndieWire included Michael Arndt's screenplay among the 10 greatest American screenplays of the 21st century, praising its emotional complexity, narrative structure, character development, and ability to address universal themes of growing up, change, friendship, and letting go. Today, Toy Story 3 is widely recognized as a landmark achievement in modern animation and filmmaking, frequently cited among the greatest animated films ever produced. Its enduring acclaim reflects its rare ability to entertain children while offering emotionally rich storytelling that resonates just as powerfully with adult audiences, securing its legacy as one of Pixar's most celebrated and influential works. Review 1. As per usual, I'll start with a tiny spoiler-free review which will just essentially be a yay or nay and a history of the film's development, and then I'll go into full spoilers. We made it, guys. The end of an era. The end of the era where Pixar was consistently good. What do we have to look forward to after this? Cars 2, Brave, The Good Dinosaur. Shit, okay, I'm just going to have to look at the positives. I get to talk about Toy Story 3, which on rewatch might be my favorite Toy Story movie. Toy Story 3 has everything I could want from a movie. It's exciting, it's emotional, it's endearing, it's perfectly paced. All the main characters are given something to do. Whilst Toy Story 2 is also amazing, I think the Buzz parts aren't as good as the Woody parts. In Toy Story 3 there is no part lesser than other parts. Everything just fits together so well. I was having a blast the whole time and it perfectly concludes the Toy Story saga. A broken bar. Oh yeah, Toy Story 4 came along and gave us a pretty good epilogue but failed to reach the heights of the 3 movies that came before it. I'll talk about that when I get to it. After Andy has grown up, Woody and friends have to decide whether to stay by him even though it will at best end with them in the attic. Woody is the only one who really still believes in him. Toy Story 3 was written and directed by Unkrich, written by John Lasseter, Yuck, Andrew Stanton, and Michael Arndt. Unkrich is great. He made this and Coco but has apparently left Pixar and the film industry as a whole so he can spend more time with his family. I'm happy for him. He was the only person who made a truly amazing Pixar film in the last 10 years with Coco, but life's short and the film industry is a difficult, time-consuming field to be in, so it makes sense that he wanted to leave it. I wish him the best. Toy Story 3 stars the usually Tom Hanks as Woody, Timmy Hates Kids Allen, Joan Cusack as Jessie, the late Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, Wallace Shawn as Rex, John Ratzenberger as Ham, Estelle Harris as Mrs. Potato Head, Blake Clark as Slinky Dog, Ned Beatty as Lotso, Jodi Benson, the voice of Ariel, as Barbie, Michael Keaton as Ken, John Morris as Andy. It's cool that he reprised the role, and Emily Hahn as Bonnie. Fucking hell, that's a lot of main characters and I probably forgot some of them. The Toy Story series has always had a huge cast, but this is the only one to have them all be together for the majority of the movie. The original Toy Story focused on Woody and Buzz, Toy Story 2 has them in two teams which only contain a few toys in each, and Toy Story 4 doesn't even try to give them all something to do. That's just Woody essentially. Toy Story 3 cuts down the number of main toys to just the most iconic ones, minus Bo Peep, so they all have something to do. Every toy in this has their own little subplot and somehow the movie doesn't feel bloated. This feels like the definitive Toy Story because of it. If I had to only show one Toy Story film to communicate what the main cast were all about, I'd show this one. Toy Story 3 is the third animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars after Beauty and the Beast and Up, and to be honest I'm kind of surprised. This isn't the usually type of movie the Oscars nominate. It's normally just movies that appeal to really old men who hate fun and love revisiting World War II. The movie looks great. Again, by the time of Toy Story 3, Pixar movies no longer look disgusting by today's standards. I don't know why I even bother with the spoiler-free section of a 10-year-old Pixar movie. If you haven't seen it already, go watch it. I'm gonna get into spoilers because that's what I really want to talk about and it's why most of you are here. Okay, let's get into the plot. Toy Story 3 opens with the toys' point of view as they are getting played with. It's not really clear if they're actually seeing this or if they're just so in the moment of getting played with that this is what they're thinking, or even if this is just what Andy is thinking. I like to imagine that the toys live out fantasies when they're being played with. If you think about it, why would they enjoy just getting hit against one another by a kid? It makes sense that they search for this playtime high if to them they've been transported to a world of adventure. Anyway, this opening is amazing. It's a great visualization of what it's like playing with toys, where you won't have everything perfectly themed so whatever you have will be involved in some way. It's also a great way to ease us into the movie. Toy Story 3 shows us what Toy Story 2 shrugged off as a meme. It'll happen someday but not for ages. It's pretty melancholic, so it's nice getting to see one last adventure with the toys in their prime. It's like looking back at your childhood before reality sets in. The scene itself involves Woody, Jessie, and Buzz saving orphans from Ham, Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, Slinky Dog, and a shit ton of monkeys. It's fun. I love it how the actual fantasy ends with it seeming like Woody and Co are going to lose. It reminds me a lot of the video game sequence from the second movie. We get montage of Andy growing up before we finally get to modern day where Andy hasn't played with his toys in years and only a few are left. It's a good way to cut down the cast. Most people get rid of their toys as they get older but will keep a few select favorites that they loved the most as a child. Not me. I just kept them all and put them in the attic. I wonder, who has a worse fate? My plushies and random nerdy figures that currently litter my room or the toys in the attic. On one hand the attic sucks but on the other those toys don't have to watch me cry myself to sleep every night. Children who watched the original 2 Toy Story films grew up just in time for the third one to come out. The fact that many people who love the original duology were going to college the same time as Andy definitely helped this movie make people an emotional wreck. As Andy said goodbye to his childhood, so did those who used to love the Toy Story films as a kid. To be honest, I think that's one of the reasons that the fourth one doesn't feel so important. Toy Story 4 takes place pretty soon after Toy Story 3 instead of 10 years on, which is the amount of time that passed in real time. I get why they did this. It would be weird if Toy Story 4 dealt with Bonnie going to college when the third movie was about Andy doing the same, but I honestly think 4 would feel more impactful if it came out a couple of years after this film. Anyway, Woody calls Andy to try and get his attention so he can play with them. He sits on the other side of the phone not responding as Andy talks to him. I swear there was a planned ending where Woody speaks to Andy which was scrapped because it was fucking stupid, but I can't find anybody talking about it, so maybe I made it up. Anyway, if that's not something that I made up, then this is probably a setup to that scrapped ending. Andy of course doesn't play with them, although I think it would be hilarious if he did. Andy's mom tells him to start cleaning out his room. He has the option to throw his toys away, put them in the attic, or take them to college. Now since there's no quicker way to scare a girl out of your room than Mr. Potato Head, he decides to put them all in the attic but Woody who he will bring to college. It makes sense. I've known people at university who have had sentimental old toys with them, It's not unheard of. Due to some wacky shenanigans, Andy's mom ends up throwing the toys who aren't Woody away, so Woody goes to rescue them. They believe that Andy threw them away, so they enter a donation box where toys are being donated to Sunnyside Daycare. The toys end up at Sunnyside Daycare where they meet Lotso, who tells them that Sunnyside is a paradise where toys will always have new kids to play with them. He escorts them to the Caterpillar Room, the place where they'll all be staying. Barbie stays with Ken in the Butterfly Room. Woody decides that he needs to go back to Andy and leaves Sunnyside to return to him. I've seen some people complain that Woody escaping is way too easy, seeing that the movie emphasizes just how difficult it is to escape. The thing is, the reason it's so hard to escape is due to security measures that are only there at night time. At daytime, the fact that toys want to keep their sentience as a secret to humans is why nobody tries to escape then. Woody just doesn't seem to really care. He leaves at daytime anyway. Woody is now separated from the gang for a while, so I'll go through his plot before going through what the other toys go through. Woody flies out using a kite but gets found by a child called Bonnie, who takes him home to play with, where he meets Bonnie's toys. Fuck it, I'll go through my opinion on them. Dolly is fine. She's the leader of Bonnie's toys, so I wish they gave her a bit more of a personality. Trixie is voiced by Kristen Schaal, so all I can see is Mabel from Gravity Falls when she speaks. As a character, she's pretty cool. Mr. Pricklepants is fun. His whole deal is that he wants to be an actor and sees being played with as being comparable to acting, which yeah, I guess it is. Chuckles the Clown is a worthy inclusion just for the cute joke where he gets drawn by Bonnie. I keep forgetting that Buttercup exists. Bonnie has a Totoro toy from My Neighbor Totoro. It's a cool Easter egg, but the toy Totoro hasn't really got a character. Anyway, Bonnie plays with Woody and her toys and it's cute. It also leads to the best level in the Toy Story 3 video game, where this playtime is turned into a level. Would you all want to see me play through all the Pixar games at some point, either as some kind of video review, written review, or even just a stream or let's play? Like literally everyone, the handheld entries and the console entries, probably even the mobile games if I can find backups of them. Tell me on Twitter, Facebook, or the comments below. Anyway, they play and Woody tells the other toys that he needs to return to Andy, mentioning that his other friends abandoned Andy at Sunnyside. Chuckles tells his how awful Sunnyside is, so Woody returns to rescue his friends. Back with the other toys, they get attacked by a bunch of young children. This scene is so horrific, and that's what makes it perfect. They manage to highlight the worst aspects of young children in a singular scene. They're disgusting, aggressive, and aren't old enough to know anything yet. I love it that some toys do always have to be played with by them, as a daycare with no toys for the youngest children isn't going to work. It becomes a weird metaphor for society as a whole. How there's those awful jobs that need to be done with lots of running it in the worst possible way. A few select toys have to do that job over and over again until they're broken, like how our society is run. Instead of sharing the burden, which is what happens at the end when Lotso is gone. Let's talk subtext. I've seen a lot of people talk about how the Toy Story franchise is about religion, and to be honest, I can't see where they're getting this from. They compare the children to gods, but no. The toys don't worship the kids. I think Toy Story 3 and its parallels with Woody and Andy's mom highlight that if anything it's about parenting. The toys are destined to eventually be left by their kids. The idea of the toys being there for a kid until they don't need them is brought up throughout the entire series, which is one of the main goals of a parent. Preparing your kid to live without your care. Toy Story 4 could be seen as having the message that you don't need to have kids to be happy. I genuinely don't know how people see this as a religious allegory. After all, the kids leave. The crew try to find Lotso so they can work out what's going on, but everything's locked up so they can't leave the room. Buzz makes an epic gamer escape and goes to find Lotso. Buzz finds Lotso's crew in a vending machine and fine. I'll mention my opinions on them. Ken is alright. He has such a sudden change of heart that I honestly believe Mattel didn't want one of their characters to stay evil, so told them to change it last minute. I have nothing to back up this theory. it's just a hunch. There are a few kinda outdated jokes revolving around him, like the fact that everyone is physically disgusted that he has a feminine writing style and finds it funny that he's a girl's toy. Like, I guess the girl toy jokes are being made by the villains, so fair enough, we're not meant to agree with them, but it's Woody and CO who are repulsed by the idea of Ken having a feminine writing style, so yeah, not a fan of that. Chunk is alright, Twist is alright, Sparks is alright, oh, Stretch, yeah, she's a tad weird. Yeah, there's not much to say on them. I just wanted an excuse to talk about Ken. Anyway, the bad guys capture Buzz before Lotso demands that he is freed. He explains that new toys are put in the caterpillar room because the older toys can't take it. Buzz says that him and his friends will be leaving, which Lotso of course protests against by returning Buzz to factory settings, aka Buzz from the first film. Buzz gets tricked into working with the bad guys and captures his friends, putting them in cages, and the movie suddenly becomes a prison escape movie, and I kind of love it. Eventually Woody breaks back into the place and is informed on how to escape by chatter telephone, and can I quickly ask who the fuck writes the likes and dislikes on the Disney wiki? Like, look at this shit. I go on the wiki to make sure I get names right and don't forget details on the plot. But the best thing about it is people struggling to find a definitive like and dislike for a character who's on screen for 5 minutes. Imagine helping one toy and that becomes your one defining like. I swear the people on the Disney wiki are some of the wackiest people around. I like chatter telephone as much as the next guy, but imagine spending your evening writing the likes and dislikes of him. Wait, I'm spending my evenings talking about pointless bullshit as well, a broken bar fuck. Anyway. Resident helping Woody out. Enjoyer helps Woody out by telling him exactly what they'll need to do to escape. Woody reunites with the toys and they discuss the plan. Woody and Slinky beat the shit out of the monkey who usually warns Lotso if somebody tries to escape. They tie up the money. Mr. Potato Head purposefully misbehaves, so he is thrown outside in the sandpit. Some toys throw him a tortilla which he then puts his body on to control because he can't fit him entire body out of the sandpit. Barbie gets close to Ken just so she can torture him by ripping up his clothes in a weirdly kinky scene. He shows her where Buzz's instruction manual is so they can put him back to normal. They all try to reset Buzz but accidentally turn him into a Spanish stereotype. They give Mr. Potato Head his body back and all escape to the bins where they can get out. Lotso catches them but Big Baby has had enough and throws Lotso in the bin. Woody and CO also end up in the bin due to a stupid fucking idiot alien toy and they all get taken to the landfill. I love how chaotic the landfill is. They immediately get taken off to a large conveyor belt which is designed to destroy them. It's tense. Yeah, it's weird that the items only become magnetic when they grab onto them, but it's kind of a nitpick. Lotso turns up and they all save him from being destroyed. They now come up to an incinerator. Woody helps Lotso up to a button which will turn off the conveyor belt. He doesn't press the button because he's at what, and the group are left going towards an incinerator. Apparently, this is why Bo Peep isn't in this movie. Porcelain would melt under these temperatures. To be honest, I think the caterpillar room ordeal would have killed her as well. They all struggle to get away from a fiery grave, but eventually they accept their death and hold hands, glad that they can be together in the end. It's easily one of the darkest scenes in Pixar history. Like, what other family movies can you say includes a scene where the main characters accept their own death? Anyway, the aliens rescue them with the claw, which is a nice callback to the original movie, and they all return to Andy's. Lotso gets put on the front of a garbage truck where he will most likely live out the rest of his days. Apparently, they had to make Lotso more evil as test audiences didn't think he deserved his fate originally. When back at Andy's, Woody puts a note on the box of toys telling Andy to bring them to Bonnie's, which Andy does. This is the perfect ending. Let's talk about why. Okay, there were a few things the movie had to do to give us a satisfying ending. Give the toys a happy ending. Deliver the message of growing up and saying goodbye to your childhood. Have Andy play with the toys one last time. They set up to the idea that he'll never play with them again. You need to prove that wrong. Highlight that Andy does care about his toys. Okay, let's go through why all of these goals were so difficult. Toys in reality don't really get a happy ending. They either get thrown out or at best put in the attic where they might be played by their owner's kid, but it's doubtful as they'll be outdated by the time their own child has grown up. The movie doesn't focus on Andy, so delivering a message of him growing up and letting go of his childhood is a difficult task as he's barely been in the movie. Young adults don't tend to play with toys. I haven't played with my toys for like 10 years at least. I don't think I've played with a toy properly since I was like 12, and even that's pretty late in a technology-filled age. Also, people don't tend to even think about their toys when they go off to college. Okay, so the ending had its work cut out for it, but it succeeded in every field. For a start, they established another toy-loving kid who would happily take Andy's toys and give them a good home. It also doesn't dwell on the idea that Bonnie will grow up eventually. Even if you do think about that, you could argue that she'd likely donate them to Sunnyside, which is now under good management, so they'll get their happily ever after. If you ignore Toy Story 4, they give Andy some time to reminisce about his childhood when he's talking to Bonnie. This makes him giving them away hit harder and highlight the movie's message of growing up. Andy wouldn't realistically play with his toys by himself, but with Bonnie then yeah sure, of course he would. He's playing with a kid. He'll lower himself to the level of one and play with toys. The closest I've come to playing with toys in recent years is playing with my niece or some of the kids I've babysat. The fact that Andy hesitates giving away Woody and that he is actually having fun playing with them indicates that he does still care about them. This is such a perfect ending. There's a reason nobody really wanted a Toy Story 4. The ending of Toy Story 3 was so perfect. Anyway, yeah, Andy gives his toys to Bonnie. I teared up a bit, and Woody and Andy say goodbye to one another from a distance. The end. The credits show us that Ken and Barbie now own Sunnyside, and everyone now takes turns in the caterpillar room. Everyone has to do a little of the awful task, but with that nobody has to do it to their breaking point. Toy Story 3 is so good, guys. And weirdly, I don't remember it having a huge impact on me when I first watched it, and I know why. I was too young. It's a family movie, but its target demographic is those who watched the other two when they were young and are now heading into adult life. I was like 11 when this movie came out. I wasn't even close to leaving childhood. As mentioned earlier, I was still playing with toys to some extent then, so I wasn't even like, oh gee whiz, I sure miss my toys. It was another great Toy Story movie which was a big part of my childhood alongside the other two. It's only when watching this movie later on where the emotional weight of everything hits me. Yeah, I'm kinda long past my childhood at this point. I'm 22 years old and leaving university in a couple of months, but my childhood is still something I miss, something where times were easily and I wasn't stressed, angry, and sad as the state of the world 24/7, but that's the message of the movie. You have to leave your childhood at some point. I genuinely remember this being my least favorite Toy Story as a kid. Not that I didn't like it, I just prefer the other two, but now I'd have to say it's my favorite. And that's because the third one hasn't really got children as its main demographic whilst the first two do. Whilst all Pixar films are made for everyone, some are definitely more aimed at adults whilst some are more aimed at kids. It's weird, it's the only family animated studio where I can say this for. Most make kids movies that adults can also enjoy. The messages of many Pixar movies won't be understood by kids. Up, Cars 3, and Toy Story 3 all deal with getting old. Soul deals with the idea of passion and what makes you who you are, which are pretty abstract ideas for a child. The Incredibles deals with marital issues. Coco deals with the legacy of your family and the concept of being forgotten. Monsters University deals with the fact that some people just aren't good at things. It seems like Pixar just makes movies first and worries about them being suitable for kids second, which is awesome. Let's talk characters. Lotso is the best Toy Story villain. He's incredibly threatening, which is hard to achieve with a character purposefully designed to look lovable. You understand his motivations, and it was clever of Pixar to reveal his intentions early on so we have time to appreciate him as a villain. One of the biggest problems with twist villains is you don't have much time to appreciate them as villains, but here he's only pretending to be kind for like the first 20 minutes or so. Because of that we get a lot of time to appreciate him as a threatening villain. I mentioned earlier that everyone from Andy's has something to do, so let's talk about that. Woody of course is the protagonist. He's got to unlearn what he learned from Toy Story 2. In fact, you could kind of say that about Woody's arc in all the movies. In Toy Story he learns that he'll always be played with and loved by Andy. In Toy Story 2 he learns that that's not necessarily true, but it's a way off before Andy doesn't play with him, but he will always need to be there for Andy. In Toy Story 3 he learns that he won't always have to be there for Andy. Andy will outgrow him, and at that point it's cool if he leaves to be with another child. In Toy Story 4 he learns that that's not necessarily true and he doesn't even need a kid. It's cool how every movie shows how gray the world is, that there's not a definitive truth. Buzz of course has the entire story of going back to his factory settings, going to Spanish mode, and then going back to normal. He has a relationship with Jessie, which is cute. Jessie has to deal with the abandonment issues that Emily gave her. I kind of wish this was explored a little bit more than it is. She has a relationship with Buzz, which is cool. Bullseye continues to be Woody's loyal pet. It's cute. Mr. Potato Head has the whole thing where he uses his possession powers to take control of a cucumber. Wait, pickles are just pickled cucumbers. Holy fuck, he's pickled Mr. Potato Head and broken bar. Yeah, I kind of cringed when I wrote that. Mrs. Potato Head is used as a narrative device so we can see what is happening at Andy's. With one of her eyes still at Andy's, she can see what Andy is doing whilst the toys are still at Sunnyside. Barbie is interesting due to her relationship with Ken. The fact that they are literally made for each other is pretty funny, and she leads to him redeeming himself. I genuinely keep forgetting that the alien toys are with them, to the point where I think I might have forgotten something. I remember them in the final act, so they must have been with them at Sunnyside. Yeah, they have to rescue them at the dump and have a little thing with Mr. Potato Head viewing them as his children. Slinky has a couple of things about being old. Like everyone but Woody, he has to learn that Andy still holds him dear even if he doesn't actively think about him. He also just does a lot in the film physically, like helping take down the monkey and helping the toys escape in general. Rex is a big presence throughout the movie. Yeah, he doesn't do much but he's always saying shit. To be honest, the same can be said for Ham. He has a presence in the movie and has enough voiced lines to be a main character and not feel sidelined, but he doesn't have his own arc beyond believing that Andy still loves him, which is a universal arc for most of the toys. Okay, let me get out of the way the claim that this is the same movie as the second one. Both feature the toys having to figure out whether to go to Andy, who seemingly doesn't want them, or stay in a place that essentially grants them immortality, with the museum keeping Woody from being touched so he stays in great condition, and Sunnyside Daycare having infinite kids and toys that will happily repair them. Both have seemingly kind old men characters who turn out to be villains. Both have a story of a toy being abandoned by their kid. Both even have a Buzz who doesn't act like he usually does. Okay, for a start, every Toy Story has a delusional Buzz. With the first one it's his arc, the second has another Buzz, third one has Buzz restored to factory settings, and the fourth one he just acts out of character due to bad writing. The idea of a place where a toy could be immortal. Okay, that's just the charade that Sunnyside creates. They literally talk about the toys being broken in less than a week by the children, and the question of whether to stay is only there for the first part of the movie. The second they realize it's a hellhole, they all want to leave. The idea of going back to an Andy that doesn't want them or not isn't even a question pretty early on in the movie. The villains are both elder twist villains. For a start, that can be said about a number of Pixar villains, but the fact that they want the main characters to stay and that they're old are the only similarities between Lotso and Stinky Pete. Lotso has abandonment issues and can actually be compared more so to Jessie than Pete. In fact, he's what Jessie could have become. Stinky Pete has the opposite problem. He was never played with and resented children because of that. And yeah, they both have stories of a toy getting abandoned, but it's how the characters react differently that makes it different. One reacts with sadness, the other anger. Both movies have different tones. Themes are structured differently. If you select a few key details, you can make it out like any two movies are the same. Hell, I'll do it now for all four Toy Story movies. All Toy Story movies feature toys being separated from their kid. They meet new toys in their new location. A character or group of characters wrestle with the idea of whether they should actually go back. There is a twist related to a character's moral alignment. Buzz is all wacky, Woody's leadership is put into question. They all seem kinda similar if I put it like that, but no. All 4 Toy Story films have very distinct feels, plots, and themes. Let's talk Easter eggs. A113 is on Andy's mom's car as the license plate. Lotso and Co ride the Pizza Planet truck after being abandoned by their kid. Andy owns a Luxo Jr., a tile outside Sunnyside shows the Luxo ball. John Ratzenberger, who has played a character in every Pixar movie, plays Ham. The New Ching sign is a reference to the movie New, a Pixar film planned to release sometime after Toy Story 3, which failed to release. By and large from Wall-E is present, which provides Buzz's batteries. Finn missile from Cars 2 appears on a poster in Andy's room, once again following the tradition of alluding to the next Pixar film in the current one. I guess one of the kids in Sunnyside having a Lightning McQueen t-shirt could also be an example of this. Oh, and the toy Lightning McQueen at Sunnyside. The train in the opening has a 95 on it, which is Lightning McQueen's number. In fact, there are way more Pixar character references here than any other Pixar film so far. The word "Ada" is spelled on a wall in Sunnyside, which is a reference to Princess Atta from A Bug's Life. A toy flick from that movie can also be found at Sunnyside. Holy shit, I never thought I'd see A Bug's Life be referenced again. Ray from Finding Nemo can be found in toy form at Sunnyside. A Nemo sticker is located on Andy's toy box. There are some references to Pixar shorts. Some of the toys from Tin Toy can be found at Sunnyside. A patch of Wally B from The Adventures of Andre and Wally B can be seen on Bonnie's backpack. Yeah, that was Toy Story 3. It's an amazing movie that feels like the perfect conclusion to the Toy Story series, even though it's not the conclusion. What's up next in the Pixar marathon? Fuck. To be honest, I don't think Cars 2 is as bad as everyone says. It's not good, but it does reach the status of mediocre kids movie, so I guess I'll be defending it next week. A broken bar, yay. Guess I'll see you next week. Sorry that this one was a bit late. These take a while to write and I have a lot of university work, which will always be my priority. Thanks for reading. Bye bye. By the time the third entry in any franchise comes around, audiences must ask themselves if the material remains as strong as it once was. Perhaps it's become stronger over the years, or perhaps it's gotten to the point where the franchise has run itself into the ground. Of course, Pixar Animation Studios knows just how to avoid becoming stale. Consider Toy Story 3, which resonates with themes and familiar situations from its predecessors, and yet proves to be a complete joy, filled with hilarious slapstick and ever-heartfelt emotion. It may be the most entertaining of all the Toy Story films. Should we expect anything less from Pixar than to meet, even exceed, our expectations? Much time has passed since Pixar's last adventure with the toys from Andy's room. It's been 15 years since Toy Story was released in theaters, and 11 years since Toy Story 2. How time has passed, and how Pixar has grown. When Toy Story, their first feature-length film, was released, they were an obscure Hollywood entity bent on making fully computer-animated films. Now they've surpassed even Disney in animation quality and storytelling. Furthermore, they've made computer animation the standard medium in animation today. And despite the company's vast improvements in animation since the previous Toy Story films, the third film looks better than but doesn't appear too visually superior to the others, allowing it to fit nicely into a trilogy with an appreciation for the advanced animation, but without upgrades that might make it feel out of place in the filmic world we've grown accustomed to. The Attic toys soon find themselves donated to a daycare center. Woody follows to rescue the others, who ultimately decide to stay. And so Woody tries to return to Andy but finds himself in the ownership of an adorable, kind-hearted little girl named Bonnie. At first, the toys at daycare believe they've found bliss in a place filled with children who want to play with them. That is, until they realize how violent a gang of children can be on a toy. They chew, bang, paint with, and tear apart toys, losing pieces and swallowing them, and sticking them in places they shouldn't. The other toys in the daycare, led by a pink, fluffy bear named Lotso, Ned Beatty, also inhabit